Now think about the four horsemen that come, the bearing death and destruction. Where do we get kind of like the big picture to put the pieces together? Well, there are two chapters, and by the way, this will be on your final exam and quiz. Lucifer is the most powerful being God ever created, the smartest and the strongest of all God's creations. Everyone else is beneath him. He was the highest creature God made. His name was Lucifer, the son of the morning. By the way, this is a Latin word, lux lucius. In Latin, there's the singular and the plural, lux and lucius, or the nominative and the genitive. I can't remember. It's been decades since they took Latin. But Lucifers used to be what they called matches. They called matches Lucifers because when you went like this, they lit up. So lux means light. So Lucifer is the light one. Paul calls him what? The angel of what? Light in 2 Corinthians chapter 12. Where did Lucifer come from? Isaiah 14 and Ezekiel 28 tell us. He was the worship leader of heaven. Wow. It's very interesting when you read this. He was totally involved with music, musical instruments. He was totally involved with the worship of God. In fact, he had the best view. The throne of God was here, and it says he was the covering cherub. At that time, he spread out. We know what he looked like, remember? He has 4 faces, and he has 6 wings. And with, 2 he flies, and with 2 he covers him. It's all in the scriptures. He's one of them, covered with eyes. And he used to use his wings kind of like a big parabolic umbrella over the throne of God, so that all the worship coming at God reflected off him back down onto God. Great system. But what it tells us in Isaiah 14 is he got intoxicated by the worship. He liked it. He started wanting to absorb a little of it instead of reflect it all, having all that adoration and everything. And so you can read the story. But the fall of Lucifer to become Satan is in 2 places in the Bible, Isaiah 14 and Ezekiel 28. Okay, here's a quiz. Everyone close your eyes right now. Close your eyes. No peeking. What are the 2 chapters where the fall of Satan is? Say them out loud. Good, you can open your eyes. Look again. Now you've said it, you've heard it, you've read it, you'll get it on the quiz. Now, Lucifer, when he fell, chapter 12, we're coming to, we're not there yet, tells us a secret. 1/3 of all the angels, there's 1 billion angels, there's probably more, but let's say there's 1 billion of them. There are hundreds of millions just standing. So there are probably more than 1 billion. There are billions, but if there was 1 billion, 1/3 of them, 333 million, went with Satan. 2/3 stayed with God. Now, I don't have a pen, but if I had my pen, when I was a youth pastor, I always had a pen. I don't even have one. But I would take my pen, and I would hold it here, and I would kind of, in the palm of my hand, keep the pen so it was standing up straight. And I'd say, everybody wonders how Satan fell. And there's a whole division of theology about did God create evil? Did God cause evil? Did God allow evil? Did God plan evil? And it's called, the main division is called lapsarianism. You ever heard of such thing? And there is infralapsarianism and supralapsarianism and sublapsarianism. And what that is about is whether God planned for Satan to fall before it happened, or as it was happening, infra, or before, supra, or after, sub. There are books this thick about what I just said. Do you think young people want to hear all that? So I would take my pen, okay, and I'd stick it in my hand, and I'd say, watch. And my little pen would be standing up in my hand. And I'd say, watch what happens when I stop holding my pen up. What would happen to the pen? Fell. Did I cause it to fall? Yes, I stopped holding it. Do you know why Satan fell? God allowed him. God stopped holding him. Remember, none of us are self-sufficient. None of us are righteous. None of us are good. Even the angels were good in the sense that they were good, but they're held. This whole universe, anything that's not God, infinite, eternal, holy, all those 25 attributes, anything that's not that must be held. Jonathan Locke is going to teach you systematic theology. Okay. Yes, ma'am. That's why there's books this big. No, we all want to know what's not written down. What does Deuteronomy 29:29 say? Anybody know? Have you guys memorized that one yet? Deuteronomy 29:29 says this: the secret things belong to God, but what has been revealed belongs to us in our generation. So that question is something God does not tell us. That's why there are books this thick. But what we do know is that God does this at other times, not hold people. Did you know it says that God let go at different times in the monarchy when you're studying all those kings, Jeroboam the first, Jeroboam the second, and Azariah and Uzziah and Pereziah and all those, there's Hoshea and Pekah, all these strange names. Do you know what it says in one of them? It says God stepped aside for a minute with King Hezekiah. And you know what it says? When the Babylonian envoy came to see what was in his heart. What that means is God stopped holding and causing him to, what it says in Ezekiel 28, 36 and 37 says, a new heart also, I'll give you a new spirit I'll put within you. I'll take away the stony heart. I'll put my spirit within you. And I will cause you to keep my commandments. Cause. God stopped causing Hezekiah for a moment just to see what he'd do. You know what he did? He got very proud and showed off all of his gold and silver and treasures to the Babylonians. And guess what they did? They came and took them all. And God said, I let you show what was in your heart. And without me, you become proud. Without God, Satan became proud. What does Satan say? 5 times in Isaiah 14. He says, I will ascend to the mountain. I will become like the Most High. Become like? That's how we know the Bible was written by God, not by humans. If I was writing the Bible, I would say Satan said, I'm going to become greater than God. But Satan's too smart for that. He knew he was a creature. He knew he didn't have self-existence. He said, nothing can be greater than God, so I'm just going to become like God. And that is another evidence of inspiration. Ezekiel explains even more, but both those books were not in